I wholeheartedly believe that 30k exotics is my favourite category to talk about. I'm talking about cars you can almost mistake for supercars, but they are just not quite there. So let's talk about 10 of them today. If this video gets 1,000 likes, do the same video again under £20,000 instead, if it's possible. And if you're one of the 72% of people watching this right now who hasn't subscribed, please consider subscribing. Let's get into it. Let's kick this video off with the Aston Martin Rapide, which is such a different car for the Aston brand to be producing. It sits in the executive saloon car class, so theoretically takes on cars like the M5 and E63 AMG, but it has looks more similar to the DB9. These actually come with the same engine as the DB9, a 5.9 litre V12 block that makes 470 brake horsepower, taking them to 60 in 5 seconds, which is pretty good for the first practical Aston. I see this as a predecessor to the DBX we have today, as something a little bit more useful but still with Aston Martin charm, and if anything it's better looking than the DBX. And when I say a little, I mean little, as the rear seats are actually known to be quite tight, especially considering this car is supposed to be a more luxury focused car than just a sporty one. These start at around £26,000 and 30k will get you a 2010 model that's done around 60,000 miles. The transmission has typically caused the most issues with these rather than the engine, and some owners have mentioned the child lock can fail, which is probably because Aston Martin aren't used to putting them on cars. Next up we have the Maserati Granturismo S, the facelift of the Gran Turismo with a bigger engine and some more flary bits on the exterior to really drive home those stunning looks. And it genuinely is a great looking exotic car with unreal value for money, given it was designed by Pininfarina. And as a car, it's actually very similar to the beloved Alfa Romeo 8C, which it shared its platform, engine, transmission and many components with. So the fact that you can effectively get an 8C with Pininfarina stylings for a tenth of the price should make this one of the best cheap exotic cars out there. It gets a nice Ferrari engine in them too that you'll find in the 458 California and some other Ferraris, a 4.7 litre V8 block to make 433 brake horsepower, taking him to 60 in 4.8 seconds. These start at around the £18,000 mark, and for 30k we'll be looking at a 2012 example that's done around 40,000 miles. Oil leaks are known and the clutch is one of the weaker features. It's the non-engine electrics though that seem to end up with the most issues, and some owners have even mentioned rust on the front subframe. The 7th generation Ford Mustang GT probably isn't an exotic car in the US market, but in the UK it's definitely something different, especially as the first Mustang we got in right-hand drive specifically from the manufacturer. For us in the UK we'd probably call it a muscle car, but in reality it's another generation of the popular pony car, which is effectively just a sports coupe. These quickly gained a bit of a cult following in the UK, and though the interiors have been criticised at times being a bit boring and cheap feeling, broadly they've remained a nice head turner out on the roads. These come with a thunderous 5 litre V8 engine that makes 410 brake horsepower, taking them to 60 in 4.6 seconds, which is pretty decent for the only muscle car on this list. £20,000 is the minimum you'll find these listed for, and 10k more than that will get you a 2017 example that's done around 10k miles. There are some known issues, including the oil cooler being poorly designed and placed, so some owners like to replace them with stronger, further removed examples. Misfires are also known from the IMRC failing. The first generation Audi R8 has pretty much sat at the same sub 30k price now for around 7 years, at least at the bottom end, which is some unbelievable value for money for a car that sparked the is it a supercar debate. It was designed by the legendary Walter de Silva and arrived as both a manual and automatic, both of which have their own pros and cons. The gated manual is a pleasure to bang through, but the automatic offers a more supercar style feel. You won't get the V10 in our price range, but you will get the 4.2 litre V8 that makes 423 brake horsepower, taking the car to 60 in 4.5 seconds, of course being a quattro all-wheel drive layout too. That all-wheel drive is also rear biased, aiding handling, but most importantly, this is a certified future classic at this point. You need to spend around £27,000 at the bottom end, and 30k is enough for a 2008 model that's done around 70,000 miles. Mag ride is known to fail, and there is some known carbon buildup on the intake valves. Oil leaks were also known from the gearbox, and the clutch can be an expensive replacement. The Lexus RC F flies a little under the radar as a powerful sporty coupe with a bit of a Grand Touring inspired interior, but its muscular looks for me make it possibly even better looking than the well-loved LC500H. It gets some serious kit to go with those looks too, like the forged BBS alloys in typical Japanese fashion. Add on the aerodynamic package and you get an active rear spoiler too, with some modifications to the underbody that help with a bit of ground effect. There's even a track edition which is a bit outside our price range, but benefits from being lighter, gaining carbon ceramic brakes, and a whole bunch of other performance focused modifications. Like the Mustang, this has a 5 litre V8 engine putting up 456 brake horsepower, taking him to 60 in 4.4 seconds. These will run you around £21,000 at the bottom end, and our 30k limit will get you a 2015 example with 90,000 miles on the clock. There are some known fuel pump failures, oil leaks from the transmission, and coolant leaks too, but owners mainly complain about the lack of an engine sound from that V8. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you are, then do hit like and subscribe. And let me know in the comments down below, you got £30,000, you can buy one car, what cars are going to be? I had the chance to drive a BMW M2 Competition, and I was slightly worried that it was going to feel a bit boring when I wanted it to be a Larry M car. But my worries were eased as soon as I put my foot down. This car wants to have fun just as much as you do. In comp spec, it got some additional rigidity features like the carbon fiber reinforced strut bar, plus some optional larger brakes and the likes. The Competition also got an extra turbo and some other engine enhancements too, so it's a 3-litre twin turbocharged inline-six block that makes 404 brake horsepower, taking it to 60 in 4.3 seconds, so it's about 40 brake horsepower more than the standard M2. It's also heavier than the standard car though because of the mods to the powertrain, but it's still a pretty light car at 1,550 kilograms, which massively helps the experience. These start at around the £26,000 mark, and 30k will get a 2019 model that's done around 40,000 miles. The Valvetronic has caused some owners issues, and charge pipes can crack. There are also intercooler failures reported by some owners too. The second generation Lotus Exige was very much a continuation of the first, in that it was a basically more aggressive tracked version of the Elise. Much of that aggression came from the aerodynamics, as the Exige creates 45 kilograms of downforce at 100 miles per hour versus the Elise, which only creates 5.9 kilograms. The package definitely feels more purpose built with one of these though, compared with the S1 that feels like a modified Elise instead. In Exige S spec, these are the smallest engine on the list, a 1.8 litre supercharged inline-4 engine that makes 218 brake horsepower, but they still get to 60 in 4.2 seconds, made possible by them weighing just 933 kilograms. Add on the simple stripped out interior and you literally feel like you're in a race car, and by that I mean these also aren't very practical if that wasn't obvious already. They'll run you around £20,000 at the bottom end, and 30k will get you into a 2005 model that's done around 30,000 miles. The engine is typically known to be pretty solid as it's from Toyota, but the steering rack has caused some issues, and the synchros between the second and third gears can wear out too, leaving you with some crunchy gear changes. Next up we have the Porsche 911 996 Turbo, and I've actually driven two of these, both the coupe and convertible. They absolutely fly along as perfect grand touring sports cars. The only thing I'll say about them though is the Tiptronic automatic gearbox is not my favourite. Try to get yourself a manual instead and you'll have a lot more fun. The placement of the gear up and gear down makes no sense, being on the front of the steering wheel, and it's nowhere near as satisfying as the PDK in later Porsches. These come with a 3.6 litre twin turbocharged flat 6 engine that makes 420 brake horsepower, taking them to 60 in 4.1 seconds, and of course they're all-wheel drive. The turbo is a seriously important badge in the 911 world, and as the 996 is the cheapest, it's probably the best value for money right now, especially as they're listed anywhere from around £26,000, and 30k is enough for a 2001 model with 100,000 miles on the clock. The benefit of this engine is that it's not known for suffering bore scoring, IMS or RMS failures like the other 996s, instead oil consumption can be quite high. I'd probably be most worried about the electrical gremlins though, given these are pretty old now. The Mercedes S63 AMG Coupe is an unreal looking car, blending luxury and performance, and as a cheap competitor to cars like the Rolls-Royce Wraith and the Bentley Continental GT. Therefore, the fact that these can be had for significantly less cash makes them some serious value for money, especially when you consider the coupe still takes the ethos of the flagship saloon S-Class with the best quality materials and tech Mercedes could throw at it. This luxury coupe comes with a 5.5 litre twin turbocharged V8 engine that makes 576 brake horsepower, the most on this list, taking it to 60 in 4.1 seconds, which is way more than you need on these, hence some people suggest going for an S500 instead. They also come as both rear-wheel drive and all-wheel drive. £28,000 the minimum that I could find these listed for, and 30k will get a 2016 example with 100,000 miles on the clock. The Airmatic suspension has been known to fail and be quite an expensive replacement. Outside of that, broadly these have been okay, but some owners have suffered knocking issues on the engine due to low oil pressure caused by other problems. As with the other cars I've driven on this list, my good friends at Motorland gave me the chance to drive a Jaguar F-Type R in rear-wheel drive spec, and this thing was an absolute monster. Value for money wise, the F-Type is only getting better from an exotic perspective. They look like an exotic car, drive like one, and cost significantly less than your average exotic. The one thing is that it's a bit boring on the interior, which is actually pretty nice, but nothing aggressive or over the top. They come with possibly the best sounding engine on the list too, a 5 litre supercharged V8 block that makes 542 brake horsepower, taking them to 60 in 4 seconds, and I can tell you firsthand these are probably tyre limited rather than power limited with the amount of wheel spin you get. 26k will get you into one of these, and 30k is enough for a 2015 model that's done 70,000 miles. They're typically pretty strong from a mechanical standpoint, but diffs can suffer oil leaks, and the main issue has been non-engine electrics failing. So there you have it, 10 cheap exotic cars for under 30k. I hope you enjoyed. Do hit like and subscribe if you did. Thanks to the patrons for their support, and you guys as well for watching. Click on screen to see my review of the F-Type R.